Today, we're going to take a look at how to create a Thanksgiving turkey. Let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with a brand new drawing. I'm going to go ahead and save it. I'm going to go ahead and call it turkey. The first thing we're going to do is create the body of the turkey. So we'll click New Sketch. So I'm going to click on the plane. I'm going to start with a circle right on the origin. Really important to start on the origin. I'm going to make this one 0.75. And I'll click Finish Sketch. From here, I'm going to go up to planes, off to offset plane, which is the default. We'll be back there a lot this time. I'm going to offset this plane. I'm actually going in the negative direction, so I'll just say negative 0.5. I'll start another new sketch on that new plane. I'm going to use the origin again. And this circle I'm going to make 1.25. So I'll click Finish Sketch. I'm going to offset again. So from the circle I just drew, I'm going to go back 1 inch now. So negative 1 inch, because that's the way I started. I'll click Sketch. I'm going to go ahead and use that origin again. I'm drawing a circle, but this circle is just going to be 1 inch. So it's actually going to be a little smaller. I'll click Finish Sketch. You can see I've got 3 now. And I'm going to do one more offset plane. So from the very last circle, I'm going to go off to a distance of negative 0.75. I'll click Sketch and choose that plane. This circle, I'm going to start on the origin again. And this one will be a 0.5 inch diameter. So it looks something like that. Let's click Finish Sketch now. Alright, so what I'm going to do now, because I'm going to end up lofting this shape, I'm going to put some guide rails in. So I'm going to go over here to the left and turn on the origin again so I can get all those planes back up. I'm going to click Sketch, and then I'm going to choose a perpendicular plane like this. What I like to do just to get rid of any problems is I like to press the P key and project all the circles that I just created. Right. Now I'm going to use the spline tool, the fit point spline, and I'm going to click each of these points. So point, 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 and when I get to the end, I'll double click that. I'm going to do the same at the bottom. So point to point to point, and then double click when I get to the end, and I'll click Finish Sketch, and let's rotate that around and see what we've got. So I'm going to go to Loft. So I'll choose the circles I want to loft. And mine already chose the guide rails, but just in case it doesn't, here's the plus. Those 2 spline lines that we drew are going to be the guides. So I'll click OK. Let's do one other thing though. We're going to fillet this front edge. And I'm going to make this fillet 0.45. Right, so there is the body. Alright, so now that we've got the body created, let's go ahead and work on the feathers. So I'm going to rotate around to the back. And I'll start a new sketch, and I'm going to click the back, the flat edge of the back. I'm going to start with just a line tool. So I'm going to come out of the origin, go out to the left with just a line tool, and I'm going to make that dimension 1.25. At the end of the line, I'll choose the circle tool, and I'll make a circle that is 0.5. Now I'm going to take the line tool, start from the origin, and bring it out. Notice I'm using that tangent symbol. If I didn't use the tangent symbol, it's not a big deal. I could go up here to the geometric constraints and use tangent from there. So what we'll do now is we're going to go ahead and extrude this. So I'm just going to click on all of these pieces that I've drawn, even these inside right there. Let's rotate it around so you can see it. I'm actually going to go in a negative direction here, and I'm going to make this distance negative 0.125. Now one thing I want to be careful of is the operation here. Because of the way I went, it's set to cut. I need to just change that to join. And what I'll also do while I'm here is I'm going to use the fillet tool, And I'm going to put a fillet between the tail feather and the body. And I'm going to make that distance be 0.25. So we'll press OK. I went ahead and did the fillet now so that I can also pattern it. So that's what we're up to now. We're going to pattern that feather all around. Well, halfway around. So I'll go to Create. I'm going to go to Pattern. And I'm going to choose Circular Pattern. For this, my object type, I need to change that to where it says Features. I think the default is Bodies. So we're going to choose Features. I'm going to choose the feather and the fillet. And then for Axis, I'm going to click Select here, but I'm going to expand the Origin tab here. And I'm going to choose the Z. I know that kind of got crazy, but let's change our distribution here to partial. So the angle should be 180. And for a quantity, we want to change that to 8. And we'll click OK. So now you can see we have the feathers on there. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and round the body of the turkey off. So I'm going to use a fillet tool right here. And I'm going to make that 0.25 as well. So we've added the feathers to the body. Let's focus now on the neck area of the turkey. So I want to make sure my origin is still on. And I'm going to click a perpendicular plane. For me, it's the YZ plane. So we're going to use points in this one. And my first point, I'll go to Create. And I'll say Point. I'm going to start on the origin. I'm not clicking anything yet, but I want this to be right at about the 1-inch line. So let's dimension that. So all I did is I clicked point, I brought it up here and clicked. I'm going to say from the point, let's dimension that just to make sure. Make that a 1. And it's right above, so we're good there. Now the next point we're going to put in, we want this to be at about negative 0.5. So there's negative 0.5, so somewhere in here, and at about 1.25. So let's measure it out just to be sure. So click from here to here, so the origin, that's 0.5. And then from the origin vertically, we need that to be 1.25. Okay. Now we're going to choose our arc tool. So we're going to go to Create. I'm going to say Arc. And in particular, I'm going to use a 3-point arc. So I'm going to click the first point and the origin and place it. Now this arc should be dimensioned. Let's make this dimension 0.875. And then we're going to also create another arc. So Create and then Arc. 3-point arc again. Connect these 2 points. And what we're going to do is really just make sure they're tangent. By doing that, let's also dimension those. So this should be 0.3 right there. So we've got something going on like that. Now what we'll do is we'll finish that sketch and we're going to create a sweep. So Create, and then we're going to say Sweep. I'm going to take this circular that we've already got here, this circular shape. I'm going to click it. That's going to be our profile. And our path, I'm going to click both of the arcs that we just drew. So I've got something that looks like this. Let's do a fillet here. So we're going to click Fillet. We're going to click right where the neck and the body meet. We're going to click there. And we're going to make this fillet to be 0.375. So we've got the turkey neck attached to the turkey body. While we're here, let's go ahead and take care of the head. So I'm going to click Sketch again, and I'm going to click that same YZ plane I was on. And just remember, for me, it's the YZ. It's just a matter of how you have things oriented. I'm going to take and grab a circle. I'm going to just kind of plop it up here for now. This circle needs to be 0.375. And let's dimension it. Let's say from the center point of the circle to the origin, I want that distance to be 0.5. And vertically, we want from here to here to be 1.25. I'm going to create a bisecting line now, because what I'm going to do is create a revolution here so that this is a sphere. So basically I've created a semicircle. I'm going to click Finish Sketch. Let's rotate it so you can kind of see what's happening. Here's Revolve. I'm going to click half of the circle for the profile, and then for axis I'll click the vertical line. Now remember, I want to choose for operation, I want to choose Join, and we'll click OK. So now we've got the head and the neck taken care of. While we're here, let's take a fillet at the head and the neck, and let's make that fillet be 0.6, and we'll press OK. So let's go ahead and get the beak and the wattle taken care of. So I'm going to take an offset plane from my XY plane. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to offset that about 0.5 inches. And I'll click Sketch on that plane. And I'm going to come up to the top here, right about where his nose would be. And I'm going to make a circle here that is diameter of 0.25. And then I'm going to dimension. So I'm going to say from the center of that circle to the origin. Let's make that 1.25. And we're going to go ahead and extrude this. So the circle that we just drew, let me rotate that so we can actually see things a little bit better. And zoom in. I'm going to drag the arrow just to get it started. But the distance here, we want the distance to be 0.5. And I'm going to use a tapered angle here, and I'm going to make it -13. Now remember, operation needs to be at join. And we'll click OK. Now let's go ahead and put the wattle in. So the wattle is this red hanging down. So let's put that in. So to do it, I'm going to do another offset plane. This time for me it's the XZ plane, but I'm going to go up till I'm even with the nose. So we could probably just say 1.25. And I'll click Sketch on that. I need to rotate that around so that I'm underneath though. And I'll use the square up tool, the look at tool. And I want to make sure the origin is still exposed too. So right here, I'm going to just draw a circle for now. This circle, I want to make this to be 0.025. And then I'm going to throw some dimensions on it too. So from the origin, that should be a distance of 0.75. And then from to the right of the origin, let's go up here, we want that to be a distance of 0.04. Okay, now I'm going to extrude this. Let's rotate it around so it looks a little better and we can see things happening. I'm going to extrude it this way. I'm going to do some things here. Remember, on my distance, let's see here. For distance, let's make it -0.5. And then let's give it a taper of 5. And then remember, for our operation, we want to join that. And we'll click OK. While we're here, let's go ahead and fillet the bottom. And let's make that to be 0.05. So something like this. We can go ahead and put the eye in. The eye, for me, I just put a hole in. So I click Sketch, and then I'm clicking a bisecting plane, which for me is the YZ. And I drew a circle. And let's make this circle be a 0.125 diameter. And let's dimension it from the origin. So let's say from here to here, let's make that 0.25. And then from here to here, let's say that that'll be about 1.3. And then I'm going to extrude. Let me rotate this so we can see a little bit better. For the direction, I'm going to choose symmetric. and just make a hole through. So now when I rotate that, there's the head. Alright, now we're going to move into the legs and feet of the turkey. So I'm going to kind of rotate it. I want to get to the XZ plane for me, kind of on the underside of the turkey here. I'm going to start with a circle and just kind of put one in for now. The diameter, though, I want it to be 0.25. And then I'm going to dimension it. So I'll say from the origin to the center of that circle, I want to make that 0.25. And from the origin to the center of the circle vertically, I want that to be 0.75. I'm going to go ahead and extrude that. So let's rotate it so we can kind of see it. I'm going to go ahead and extrude that. Let's make that be a distance of 1.5. In this case, I need to make it negative 1.5. And I'm going to go ahead and use a taper angle here of -2. Well, before I press OK, though, I want to make sure, because right now it's set to cut, I want that to be a join. And we'll press OK. So I've got the leg. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and add the feet. So I'm going to rotate to the bottom and click Sketch, and I'm going to click on the bottom of the leg that I just put in. So I'm going to take a line. So I'm going to go create and say line from the center of this circle out. Go out to be about 0.25. And then I'm also going to take a line straight off the center here, kind of diagonal. I want this distance to be 0.25 as well. And I'm going to press Tab to get over to the degrees. And for the degrees, I'm going to make that be 50. And I'll use a point. So I'm going to say create and choose point. I kind of place this point right in here for now, but we'll dimension it as well. So this point from the center of the leg over to the point, I want that to be 0.05. And then above the center, so from center of the leg to the point itself, I want to make that 0.125. Then what I'll do is I'll connect these. So I'm going to connect with the line tool, connect the dots here, and then I'll use the mirror feature under create. So I'll say create a mirror, and I'm going to take lines, these three, and for mirror line I'll use that vertical line I drew, and I'll press OK. I'm going to go ahead and rotate it a little bit, and I'll extrude it, so by pressing the E key here and here. And I'm going to make that extrusion be in my case, negative 0.15. Remember, it's on cut, so I'm going to say join, and I'll press OK. Now I'm going to use a fillet here, so I'm going to click there, and I can rotate it around and get the other one at the same time. So click there too and say 0.375. And that'll kind of join everything up together. Now I've already got a mid plane in because of how I've drawn this, so I'm going to take and just mirror the leg and the foot at the same time. So create, and then I'm going to go to mirror. I'm going to choose the leg and the foot. Now I also need to choose those fillets that I put in at the very end. Okay, so I've got that. Now for mirror plane, so I need to click mirror plane. I'm going to click that bisecting plane. So for me, it's the YZ plane. And as soon as I click that, I can click OK, and it'll mirror the entire leg and the foot over. So let's add a little bit of color, and I'll show you how to do this. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn the origin off, because it's just in the way now. I'll press the A key for appearance, and that'll pull up all the colors and stuff. I want to make sure, because right now by default it's set on bodies and components, so it's going to color the entire thing that way. So I'm going to choose faces. I know red, I can go ahead and do the waddle. So let me zoom in a little bit on that. So I'll click the red and bring it over. in order to get other colors, like a custom color, you notice that the brown, it's not there. So what I'm going to do is just grab well, let's take the black and slide it over. Now I'm going to right click on it in this design dialog. I'm going to right click and say duplicate. So this is a duplicate, and I'm going to say edit. And for the title of this, I'm just going to call it brown. And I've got some numbers. These are the numbers I used. I said 106 here, and then I tabbed over, and there's a 78, and then tab, and then I put a 12 in. And that will give me the brown. So I can drag it over now. So that's the brown you saw when it first came in. From here on out, you can color it in however you want to color it in. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial on the Thanksgiving turkey.